Hello, my name is Justin Bright, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program version 1.2.1, where I am attempting to make Kerbals a multiplanetary species. In this episode, I have decided I am sick of not having enough science, so we are sending up a tremendous number of modules up to the Kerbal Space Station. 3, 2, 1, launch. So this is a bit of a monstrosity that I spent a little time putting together. But on this one, we have a pretty hefty mainsail powered stage with some kickbacks that will get us up into orbit. And you see we have a nice blunt end up here with the material exposure platform, MEP825, that we'll be using to perform some additional science. So this mission is basically to vacuum up any remaining station science type activities that we have for low Kerbal orbit. We have a bunch of modules that a bunch of experiments for doing on the station, and also some experiments to run about in from low to high Kerbal orbit to finish up some NMEA science mod additional stuff. Ooh, those kickbacks did not they did not get thrust away as far as I always expect them to. Whoa! All right. Yeah. So in any case, this is basically me trying to get a whole bunch of science here in low Kerbal orbit so that I can move things forward, because we have all of the pieces we need to actually conduct the colonization and build bases and all that other stuff. However, what we're missing is like scanning. Like, I don't have the scanning parts that we need to find out if we can use a particular location and find the resources that we need. That's something that comes late in the stock tech tree, those particular scanning modules. So we are going to see what we can do about jump-starting our science production. And I'm hoping that this allows me to get away with not doing a whole lot of grinding and biome hopping, which was fun like the first couple times I've done it, but I generally try to find other ways to accomplish that same goal these days. If possible. I might make a little science rover or something for the moon or Minmus, because that might be fun, but almost every one of my save files for a career mode game has included some sort of science hopper that's jumped from biome to biome to clean up all that science. Alright, so we are just about in orbit. So we can kick off that booster stage. Very nice. I don't know why this always assumes it's a base. I guess that is a conceit of the colonization mods, the UKS mods, or MKS mods nowadays, I guess. It assumes that you're making bases, not stations. Alright, so I did get a little too ambitious with how far I brought up my apoapsis. So we're going to reduce that a little bit so I can spend some time catching up. And at the same time, we're going to circularize our orbit a little bit, just by pointing literally straight down. Not terrifically efficient, but I'm also not that worried about it. All right, now let's rendezvous. Oops. close enough to start playing with anyways. Perfect. Ah, beautiful. Cool. So that's our intercept. Just have to orbit once to get there. So let's point ourselves in the correct direction. So hopefully I've got this thing balanced. How did that end up happening? I don't remember that being... That is really weird. I hope that doesn't mess anything up. I think because I rebuilt this particular set of parts because I wanted to get both of these bits into space at the same time. And I wasn't looking when I was putting on this RCS, and it looks like I managed to put it inside of a docking port. I'm planning on yanking those RCS modules off of the finished product and shoving them in a KISS container, which you will be able to see inside here. So we have a little bit of a Orion-style service module action in here where we have stow packs of materials that we'll be using for more science. Love it when I don't have to do too much work to get these set up. So let's take a look at this. So this is a pretty simple set of components here. We have this materials exposure platform. We have a Tundra multi-hub, which I'm just using as a structural piece to attach. We've got our Salamander command pod. We've got Jeb and Bill up here doing ready to do some engineering and science. And we've got some science experiments down tucked away in here and in here that we'll be doing. And these have some, these are station-specific science experiments. And then we have stashed away in here some stuff to do external to the ship. So we'll be setting up some exposure platforms for those. All right, so let's make that rendezvous. Beautiful. That is looking good. So we're going to dock this a little bit funky. So hopefully I have set my, hopefully I've set up my RCS to be pretty well aligned. I do use the RCS build aid mod, which helps pretty dramatically with setting up your RCS alignment. All right, so what I would like to do is I would like to control from here, weirdly enough. Although I may want to spend some time getting this lined up first. Because what I want to do is I want to set this thing up down on one of these so it's axial to the rest of the ship. Okay. So we're going to target this one. So let's get us pointed towards anyways. And start moving in. Now as we're moving in, push yourselves a little bit in that direction so that we're pushing out. And I want to control from this one. Oh, this was a huge mistake. Okay, this should be alright. Let's set up the camera. Not aim camera, that's not what I meant. Camera on. Oh dear. May not be something I can do with the control from here. Let's control from here. Let's not be weird about this. I should still be able to get this to dock properly with the camera pointed in the right direction in any case. So let's get this. Start killing that relative velocity. There we are. We're going to try to align this as best as I possibly can. Let's save first before I get any further. All right, now in this camera here, let's line this up. Oops. Coming in a little fast. Look like I'm in the right alignment, just about. So I haven't quite been able to get the hang of the docking camera mod. I kind of grew up playing KSP using Navyfish's docking alignment port indicator, which makes a little bit more intuitive sense to me. I thought this docking cam mod would be pretty cool, and I like it. I like what it does, but what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to, check these numbers that you see on the right side of the camera here, which shows you relative velocities and relative rotations and things like that. But I'm used to doing this a little bit more visually, which is weird that the camera is less visual to me. I think the thing that I'm missing is in Navyfish's mod, you have an indicator that shows where you should be aligned and then what your relative velocity to that is. And maybe these crosshairs are doing it, but I just haven't been able to figure it out. So after this episode, I'm probably going to switch back to Navyfish. Yeah, we're bouncing off a little bit here. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Let's turn off the SAS to let the magnets do their wiggly work. Come on, settle into it. Oh no, now I'm rotating. Oh Lord. Oh, come on, I'm so close. Just get in there and do it. All right, it looks like we finally got things attached, but I had to be a little bit weird with this, with the way that I attached it. Unfortunately, it's now 85 degrees from where I wanted it. Let's see if I can't fix that. I know there's a way to roll these parts around, so let's see what I can do about that. Oh, I wonder if that's why that's being so problematic. Those goofy things are in there. Well, let's have Bill jump out. See if I can't get some of those. Where are you? What are you doing? Oh my goodness. Grab yourself a screwdriver. Alright, where is that errant RCS? Boom. Now I gotcha. Let's get that one, and let's also... There we are. I'm going to drop these in this box to burn up. Or to recover, actually. Let's see. So that being done, can I get back in? Please, may I get back in? Jeb is not letting me back into this capsule. Oh, that's because I'm mashing myself up against a window and expecting something to happen. This is going great so far. Alright, well, let's wait till I get back around in any case. Into the sun where we can see. Alrighty. So, that being done, let's save the game. Okay, so it looks like the issue that I'm running into is that these docking ports have a particular alignment, like that are built in. Like this can only match with another docking port that is facing the same way for these construction ports. And there are some things you can do with these angle and roll and so forth, but I have not been able to figure out how to get these particular modules to link up in any other way than the way that they are. So I'm just going to call it good, and I think this is probably fine. So now it's time to jump out and do some science. All right, so let's transfer Jeb all the way down into this module here. Actually, I think he's going to want to be in some kind of control part if possible. Well, this is fine. I know I have some other science to do. But, Bill, I'm going to have you get out because you are going to be doing some work. Let's save the game. And from here we can install some science experiments. MEE1, which should go into here. There we go. So let's deploy this platform and start the preparation. Looks good. I think it's only going to take an hour. Looks like. Assuming this is working. Is it working? Are you working? Zoom research. Lab status idle. Light status nominal. Probably need one of our lovely scientists to transfer over into the material platform. There we go, that seems to be running now. Beautiful. So, while that's running, I have some other experiments to do. Don't float too far, would you? So we've got that one going, and then we can also get the SPU installed. So I can just start that. Oh, this is going to take 6 Kerbals. I don't have 6 Kerbals with me right yet. So let's move this back into that, into this pod, and then install the atom, because I know I can do this with 4. So let's start atom on Jebediah Kerman. So that's 2.5 hours, and this is 1 hour. Alright, Alright, let's open up Bill's inventory. And I have 2 of each experiment so that I can do this in orbit as well, or in high orbit as well as low orbit. I don't want you to remove helmet. Please don't remove the helmet. Equip your bits. Alright, I want to clip this right on the side here, so maybe don't be in that same plane. Oh dear. There, seems good, question mark. Got 1 more of those to clip on. Oh dear. Just drifting and floating about. There we are. Now we're going to clip on 1 from each. Come on. So this is our orbital debris collector experiment. I'm gonna F5 because last time I tried to do this, I ended up having one flip off into space. Kinda like that. Grabbed it though, so that's good. There we go. Looks like if I hold down the attach button, it doesn't actually flip off, or it doesn't allow me to set it in a way that does not attach it, which is nice. Oops. Here we are. Get the second one. Put it in attach mode to hopefully... That's much easier. Might clip slightly through. Yeah, we're gonna pretend that didn't happen. That's fine. And ooh, there we go. Start experiment. Cool. Let's jump in. And what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to fast forward and kind of rapidly go through collecting a lot of this science and getting some extra Kerbals up here to finish out those other experiments as well. Be right back. Alright, so this is the small ship that I brought up to load Rayleigh and Jedorf Kerman, a pair of pilots, onto the ship, and they will be experimented on. There are some ultrasound life sciences experiments that are loaded onto our vessel that will be taken care of, and they are going to be part of those experiments. A little bit later on, finished up what do you call it? The SPU experiment, which is a sonograph vertebral examination to determine if astronauts shrink in orbit, which I think is actually a thing. Like, bone loss is a very real issue among astronauts up on station, so doing some very real science. And also getting 416 science points, which is very, very nice. Alright, so now the Atom and SPU experiments are complete. Got a bunch of science from both of those, and we no longer need Jedorf on the station, so we are sending him back. Spoiler alert, it went fine and was not particularly interesting. Alright, so now we have the last bit where I'm playing with this platform and kind of flapping that thing around, but we've actually finished the biggest and longest experiment, which was this material platform. So now we're throwing this in here, finalize. Boom, 300 more science. Very nice. There are some holes in some samples. that got let out. There are lots of micrometeoroids, little particles of dust moving at tremendous velocity. That is problematic for pretty much everything out in space. So testing for those and making sure that those that we have materials that can stand up against that and it won't kill our astronauts or spacecraft is super, super important. All right, so with all of those station science experiments finished, I have just 2 more things to do, and that is the 2 exposure platform experiments that I have attached to the side of our return capsule. So I've taken Jeb and Bill, and we are moving up into a higher orbit so that we can conduct those experiments and get a bit more science. All right, so that's finished. Our passive optical assemblies and the orbital debris collector both finished with tons of science, 300 or so a piece. So I think we're going to get a really good payout. So now I'm just going to have Bill jump out, stuff all this science equipment into the stow packs on the side, and I'll see you during re-entry. Alright, so we've lowered our orbit, and now we're just kicking off our service module stage. Farewell to you. Let you roll slowly off. And hopefully this thing has been built aerodynamically stable. I have control wheels, reaction wheels aplenty to try to hold this thing, hold this thing steady into the airstream. And that went just fine. It was able to hold itself perfectly steady, and now here we are just in time for the parachute deployment. There we go. Nice, safe landing on 3 parachutes, looking kind of Apollo style, which I think is really cool. I really like the way that they've fixed that up for the parachute angle displacement for stock. It's very neat looking. All right, and then we recover, and we see we've got 2,134 science, which should really move us right along. So with that, we're recovered, all those science experiments finished. I'll see you guys in the next episode.